Picture this. It's a regular evening, you're at home, perhaps immersed in your favorite book or maybe catching up on the latest episode of your favorite show. Suddenly, everything goes dark. The hum of the refrigerator stops, the lights flicker out, and you're left in an unsettling silence, save for the distant sounds of the world outside. You fumble around in the pitch darkness, searching for a flashlight or a candle, anything to dispel the gloom. You feel a surge of frustration. Why now? Why tonight? As you sit in the dark, the realization dawns on you. You're completely reliant on an external power grid, and when that fails, you're left in the lurch. This is not just an inconvenience, it's a disruption to your life. The food in your refrigerator is at risk of spoiling, your heating or cooling systems have halted, and your daily routine has been thrown into chaos. The worst part? You have no idea when the power will be back. You start thinking about the possibility of having an independent power source. Something that wouldn't leave you scrambling in the dark, something that wouldn't disrupt your life at unexpected moments. You start to imagine how different this evening could have been. What if, when the rest of the neighborhood was plunged into darkness, your lights stayed on? What if, when everyone else was worrying about their food spoiling or their homes getting too cold, you were comfortably going about your evening, secure in the knowledge that your power source was reliable and independent? That's when you realize the importance of having your own power source. A source that doesn't depend on the grid, that can keep your home running smoothly even when everything else fails. A source that gives you control over your own life. Imagine, if during that outage, your lights stayed on because you had your own independent power source. Today, we dive into the world of hydropower. You might be wondering, what exactly is hydropower? Well, let's dive right into it. Hydropower, or hydroelectric power, is a form of energy generated by the movement of water. It's been used for centuries, from the simple water wheels of ancient civilizations to the massive hydroelectric dams of today. But how does it work? At its most basic, hydropower harnesses the energy of falling or flowing water and converts it into electricity. The stronger the flow, the more energy is produced. One of the greatest things about hydropower is its sustainability. It's a renewable source of energy, relying on the Earth's water cycle to replenish itself. Plus, it's incredibly cost-effective. Once the initial setup is complete, the only cost is maintenance, making it a smart choice for long-term energy solutions. Now that we understand what hydropower is, it's time to roll up our sleeves and start building our hydropower wheel. Before we begin, we need to gather our materials. First on our list is a sturdy wheel. This will be the heart of our hydropower system, capturing the energy of the flowing water. You could repurpose an old bicycle wheel or even a large wooden spool. The key is to choose something that's strong, durable, and able to spin easily. Next, we'll need a series of buckets or cups. These will be attached to the wheel to catch the water and make the wheel turn. You can use small plastic buckets or even cut out sections of PVC pipe. Make sure these are lightweight yet sturdy enough to withstand the force of the water. We also need a generator or dynamo. This is the device that will convert the mechanical energy of the spinning wheel into electrical energy. You can buy a small generator online or at a local hardware store. Remember, the size of the generator should match the power output you're aiming for. Then there's the mounting hardware. This includes brackets, bolts, and nuts to secure the wheel and generator in place. Stainless steel is a good choice here as it is resistant to rust and corrosion. We'll also need a length of strong, flexible pipe. This will be used to channel water from its source to the wheel. The size and length of the pipe will depend on the distance from your water source and the amount of water flow. And don't forget the wiring. You'll need enough to connect the generator to your home's electrical system. This should be heavy-duty, outdoor-rated wire that can handle the electricity generated by your system. Lastly, you'll need basic tools like a drill, a saw, a wrench, and a screwdriver. Plus, safety gear such as gloves and safety glasses are a must. With all our materials ready, it's time to get our hands dirty. Now, we start with the heart of our project, the wheel. This is where the magic happens, where the force of water gets converted into rotational energy, which in turn will generate electricity. It's like the beating heart of our hydropower system, so let's dive right in. First off, we're going to need a sturdy wheel, something that can withstand the force of water and keep spinning, day in, day out. Here we're using a large, durable plastic wheel, but you can also go with metal, depending on the resources available to you. Now to the actual assembly. Start by attaching the axle securely to the center of the wheel. The axle is the rod that will connect the wheel to the generator, so it needs to be firmly fixed. You can use strong adhesive, bolts, or even weld it if you're using a metal wheel. Once the axle is in place, we need to focus on the blades of our wheel, often referred to as the buckets or paddles. These are the parts that will catch the water and cause the wheel to spin. They need to be attached at regular intervals around the wheel. For a balance between efficiency and ease of construction, we recommend 16 paddles. Now, when attaching the paddles, it's crucial to ensure they're angled correctly. The angle of the paddles determines how effectively they catch the water. A good rule of thumb is to angle them at about 30 degrees to the wheel's surface. This allows the water to strike the paddle, then flow off, causing the wheel to spin. Once all the paddles are secured, give your wheel a little spin by hand. It should rotate smoothly without any wobbles or bumps. If it doesn't, check the alignment of the paddles and the axle. Next, we need to seal the wheel. This is important as it protects the wheel from water damage and ensures longevity. A good weather-resistant paint or sealant will do the trick. Apply a generous coat, let it dry, and then apply a second coat. Now, here's a pro tip for you. If you want to increase the efficiency of your wheel even further, consider adding a shroud. This is a cover that goes over the wheel, directing the water more accurately onto the paddles and increasing the wheel's spin. Lastly, before we move on, let's do a quick check. Make sure the axle is secure, the paddles are correctly angled, and the wheel spins smoothly. You've now built the heart of your hydropower system. It's a big step, and you should be proud of what you've achieved. With our wheel assembled, we're halfway to generating our own power. Up next, we'll be setting up the water flow. This is where we'll see our wheel in action, harnessing the natural power of water. So stay tuned for that, and remember, we're just getting started. Now it's time to set up the water flow. This is the part where things get really exciting. To harness the power of water, we need to ensure that the flow is set up correctly. It's not as daunting as you might think, and I promise you, it's going to be a fun process. Imagine the water as a crowd of invisible workers eager to spin your wheel. For them to do their job effectively, we need to guide them towards the wheel. This is where the water flow comes into play. Think of it as a path or a highway for our water workers to travel on. The first thing to do is to position your wheel near a water source. This could be a river, a stream, or even a large rain barrel. The idea is to have a continuous supply of water to keep your wheel spinning. Next, you'll want to set up a chute or a pipe that will direct the water onto your wheel. This is crucial because the water needs to hit the wheel at the right angle for maximum efficiency. Ideally, you'd want the water to strike the wheel just above its center, causing it to rotate. Now, let's talk about the amount of water, or the flow rate. The flow rate is essentially the speed at which the water is moving. The faster the water, the more energy it carries, and the more power you can generate. However, too much water can damage your wheel or erode your waterway over time. So, finding the right balance is key. You can control the flow rate by adjusting the size of the opening from your water source. The wider the opening, the more water will flow out, and vice versa. It's a bit of trial and error, but with patience, you'll find the sweet spot that gives you the best performance. Remember, the goal here is to create consistent, controlled water flow. You want the water to flow smoothly and evenly onto your wheel, not in a chaotic rush. This way, the water can do its job of spinning your wheel without causing any unnecessary wear and tear. Once you've set up your water flow, take a moment to observe. Watch how the water moves, how it interacts with your wheel. You might need to make minor adjustments to the chute or the opening size to get the flow just right. Don't be discouraged if it takes a few tries. This is all part of the process. And there you have it. That's how you set up the water flow for your hydropower wheel. It's a bit of science, a bit of art, and a whole lot of fun. With the water flow set, we're one step closer to our goal. Just imagine, soon you'll be harnessing the incredible power of water to generate your own electricity. How cool is that? So, let's keep going and turn this vision into reality. Now that we have our wheel and water flow, it's time to bring in the generator. The generator is the heart of our hydropower system. It's the device that's going to convert the mechanical energy of our spinning wheel into electrical energy that we can use in our home, and connecting it to our wheel is a crucial step in this process. First, we'll need to attach a pulley to the shaft of our generator. This pulley will be linked to the wheel through a durable belt, allowing the turning of the wheel to spin the generator's shaft. Carefully align the pulley with the wheel to ensure a smooth and efficient transfer of energy. Next, secure the generator in place. It's essential that the generator is stable and firmly attached to a base. This could be a heavy wooden board or a metal frame. The goal is to prevent any movement or vibration which could disrupt the power generation. The belt connecting the wheel and the generator should have just enough tension to prevent slipping, but not so much that it causes unnecessary strain on the system. Adjust the distance between the wheel and the generator, or the belt tension, until you find the sweet spot. Now, let's talk about wiring. The generator will have two wires, a positive and a negative. These need to be connected to an inverter, which converts the direct current produced by the generator into alternating current that we can use in our home. Make sure you're following all necessary safety precautions when handling these wires. Remember, the generator's role is to produce electricity, but it's the inverter that makes this electricity usable. So don't forget to connect the output of the inverter to your home's power system. Finally, double-check all your connections. Make sure everything is secure and aligned. A well-set-up system will not only generate more power, but also last longer, giving you reliable off-the-grid energy for years to come. With the generator connected, we're ready to test our hydropower wheel. The moment of truth is here. It's time to test our hydropower wheel. So we've built our wheel, set up the water flow, and connected the generator. Everything is in place. Now let's give this baby a whirl and see what happens. Flip the switch and let the water flow. If everything is set up correctly, the wheel should start spinning and the generator should start humming. This is the moment when all our hard work pays off. But what if it doesn't? Don't worry, that's part of the process too. Troubleshooting is an integral part of any DIY project. Let's go through some of the common issues you might encounter and their solutions. If the wheel isn't spinning, check the water flow. Is it strong enough? If it's too weak, you might need to increase the water pressure or adjust the angle of the water flow. If the wheel is spinning but the generator isn't humming, check the connection between the wheel and the generator. It should be tight and secure. If the generator is humming but not producing electricity, check the wiring. Make sure all connections are secure and that there's no damage to the wires. And remember, always be safe when working with electricity. Sometimes the problem might be with the generator itself. It might be defective or not powerful enough. In that case, you might need to replace it. And finally, if everything seems fine but you're still not getting the results you want, don't panic. Take a break, step back, and look at the big picture. Sometimes, the solution is something simple that's just not immediately obvious. Remember, troubleshooting is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of progress. Every problem you solve brings you one step closer to your goal. So keep your spirits high and keep going. You're doing great. Congratulations! You've just built your own hydropower wheel. There you have it, folks. We've journeyed together through the step-by-step process of building a hydropower wheel, from gathering materials to setting up the water flow and connecting the generator. This is more than just a DIY project. It's about embracing independence, using renewable energy, and taking control of your power source. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more DIY projects. Remember, the power to change is in your hands.